bill. Senator Obama has asked for nearly $1 billion in pork barrel earmark projects, including $3 million for an overhead projector and a planetarium in his hometown. That's not the way we cut. We'll cut out all the pork.
Time's up.
Well, look, I think that we do have a disagreement about across-the-board spending freeze. It sounds good. It's proposed periodically. It doesn't happen. And, in fact, an across-the-board spending freeze is a hatchet. And we do need a scalpel because there's some programs that don't work at all. There's some programs that are underfunded. And I want to make sure that we are focused on those programs that work. Now, Senator McCain talks a lot about earmarks. That's one of the centerpieces of his campaign. Earmarks account for 0.5% of the total federal budget. There's no doubt that the system needs reform, and there are a lot of screwy things that we end up spending money on, and they need to be eliminated. But it's not going to solve the problem. Now, the last thing I think we have to focus on is a little bit of history, just so that we understand what we're doing going forward. When President Bush came into office, we had a budget surplus, and the national debt was a little over $5 trillion. It has doubled over the last 8 years, and we are now looking at a deficit of well over $500 billion. So one of the things that I think we have to recognize is pursuing the same kinds of policies that we pursued over the last 8 years is not going to bring down the deficit. And frankly, Senator McCain voted for 4 out of 5 of President Bush's budgets. We've got to take this in a new direction. That's what I propose as president.
Do either of you think you can balance the budget in 4 years? You have said previously you thought you could, Senator McCain.
Sure I do.
You
and let me
still
tell you,
do that?
Yeah. Senator Obama, I am not President Bush. If you wanted to run against President Bush, you should have run 4 years ago. I'm going to give a new direction to this economy in this country. Senator Obama talks about voting for budgets. He voted twice for a budget resolution that increases the taxes on individuals making $42,000 a year. Of course we can take a hatchet and a scalpel to this budget. It's completely out of control. The mayor of New York, Mayor Bloomberg, just imposed a across-the-board spending freeze on New York City. They're doing it all over America because they have to balance their budgets. I will balance our budgets, and I will get them, and I will reduce this. We can do it with this kind of job creation of energy independence. Now look, Americans are hurting tonight, and they're angry, and I understand that, and they want a new direction. I can bring them in that direction by eliminating spending. Senator Obama talks about the budgets I voted for. He voted for the last 2 budgets that had $24 billion more in spending than the budget that the Bush administration proposed. He voted for the energy bill that was full of goodies for the oil companies that I opposed. So the fact is, let's look at our record, Senator Obama. Let's look at as graded by the National Taxpayers Union and the Citizens Against Government Waste and the other watchdog organizations. I have fought against spending. I have fought against special interests. I have fought for reform. You have to tell me one time when you have stood up with the leaders of your party on one single major issue.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that was put out there, so let me try to address it. First of all, in terms of standing up to the leaders of my party, the first major bill that I voted on in the Senate was in support of tort reform, which wasn't very popular with trial lawyers, a major constituency in the Democratic Party. I support charter schools and pay for performance for teachers. Doesn't make me popular with the teachers union. I support clean coal technology. Doesn't make me popular with environmentalists. So I've got a history of reaching across the aisle. Now, with respect to a couple of things Senator McCain said, the notion that I voted for a tax increase for people making $42,000 a year has been disputed by everybody who's looked at this claim that Senator McCain keeps on making. Even Fox News disputes it. And that doesn't happen very often when it comes to accusations about me. So the fact of the matter is that if I occasionally mistaken your policies for George Bush's policies, it's because on the core economic issues that matter to the American people, on tax policy, on energy policy, on spending priorities, you have been a vigorous supporter of President Bush. Now, you've shown independence, commendable independence, on some key issues like torture, for example. and I give you enormous credit for that. But when it comes to economic policies, essentially what you're proposing is 8 more years of the same thing, and it hasn't worked. And I think the American people understand it hasn't worked. We need to move in a new direction.
All right.
Let me just say,
about 30
okay,
seconds.
but it's very clear that I have disagreed with the Bush administration. I have disagreed with leaders of my own party. I got the scars to prove it. Whether it be bringing climate change to the floor of the Senate for the first time, whether it be opposition to spending and earmarks, whether it be the issue of torture, whether it be the conduct of the war in Iraq, which I vigorously opposed, whether it be on fighting the pharmaceutical companies, on Medicare prescription drugs importation, whether it be fighting for an HMO patient's Bill of Rights, whether it be the establishment of the 9/11 Commission. I have a long record of reform and fighting through on the floor of the United States Senate.
All right.
Senator Obama, your argument for standing up to the leaders of your party isn't very convincing.
All right. We're going to move to another question. And the topic is leadership in this campaign. Both of you pledged to take the high road in this campaign, yet it has turned very nasty. Senator Obama, your campaign has used words like erratic, out of touch, lie, angry, losing his bearings to describe McCain. Senator McCain, your commercials have included words like disrespectful, dangerous, dishonorable. He lied. Your running mate said he palled around with terrorists. Are each of you tonight willing to sit at this table and say to each other's face what your campaigns and the people in your campaigns have said about each other? And Senator McCain, you're first.
Well, this has been a tough campaign. It's been a very tough campaign. And I know from my experience in many campaigns that if Senator Obama had responded to my urgent request to sit down and do town hall meetings and come before the American people, we could have done at least 10 of them by now. When Senator Obama was first asked, he said, any place, any time. The way Barry Goldwater and Jack Kennedy agreed to do before the intervention of the tragedy at Dallas. So I think the tone of this campaign could have been very different. And the fact is, it's gotten pretty tough. And I regret some of the negative aspects of both campaigns. But the fact is that it has taken many turns which I think are unacceptable. One of them happened just the other day when a man I admire and respect, I've written about him, Congressman John Lewis, American hero, made allegations that Sarah Palin and I were somehow associated with the worst chapter in American history. Segregation, deaths of children in church bombing, George Wallace. That to me was so hurtful. And Senator Obama, you didn't repudiate those remarks. Every time there's been an out-of-bounds remark made by a Republican, no matter where they are, I have repudiated them. I hope that Senator Obama will repudiate those remarks that were made by Congressman John Lewis. Very unfair and totally inappropriate. So I want to tell you, we will run a truthful campaign. This is a tough campaign. And it's a matter of fact that Senator Obama has spent more money on negative ads than any political campaign in history. And I can prove it. And Senator Obama, when he signed a piece of paper that said he would take public financing for his campaign if I did, that was back when he was a long shot candidate, you didn't keep your word. And we looked into the camera and debate with Senator Clinton and said, I will sit down and negotiate with John McCain about public financing before I make a decision. You didn't tell the American people the truth because you didn't. And that's an unfortunate part. Now we have the highest spending by Senator Obama's campaign than any time since Watergate.